Welcome back. Now, overnight, the government has faced fresh allegations of withholding information about the coronavirus after it was revealed that health officials will stop providing daily updates on the location of any new infections.
But with the known number of UK cases now standing at 90, should we be doing more? And surely we have a right to know if there's an outbreak in our area.
Well, joining us now to answer those questions is the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Good morning, Prime Minister. Thank you for coming in today.
Good morning.
You're a very busy man at the moment. Are you withholding information?
No, not at all. Let me clear that up
immediately,
because it's very important that we are transparent. People understand that we're transparent. Public Health England needs to be absolutely sure about the diagnoses of these cases. So what they're doing is they're immediately identifying the region where they think there's an incidence, and then within 24 hours confirming the exact location to be sure that we've got the right thing.
So why will it be the end of the week when we find out?
Because we're building up a map, a proper database that the public can access, showing the whole thing in real time.
Isn't it better if we all have all the information straight away? I mean, we're not stupid, you know. We can handle the truth. So
Absolutely.
Tell us the truth. Tell us straight away.
Exactly. And I think one of the great things about the British public is we can all see very clearly what the balance of risk is. We can see where this is happening and the rate at which it's spreading. So I'm with you, and we're putting it all out there, and that's
I just worry because we know who the vulnerable are, whether it's elderly or those with underlying other respiratory conditions and things like that. If you have the information, then you might not decide to go shopping in that area because you know the risk. But if you don't know for a week, you might be making unnecessary decisions.
I need to know at what point do I tell my mum, actually, it might be a good idea to stay in now?
Yes, we're on the specific incidents, so where individuals get it, and as you know, the confirmed cases at the moment are standing at 85. We're putting it out as fast as we can, and that's what we want to do. We want to communicate, over-communicate with the public about what is happening.
Yeah.
It's always worth stressing with this that for the overwhelming majority of people, this is going to be who get it. This is going to be a mild to moderate illness, and you know, we're still at the stage where the single best thing we can do, and we'll be like that for a long time, is just wash our hands.
Well, this is this is what you're putting out.
Fantastic.
Putting out at the moment.
Video.
It's very simple. You know, it couldn't really be more simple than wash your hands. And
well, it's for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
20 seconds, which, as you've said, happy birthday twice, hot water.
Hot water and
so this is the video running through now that we're watching.
And what you don't want is for people to sort of do this for a couple of days and then get bored and kind of forget and go back to normal life, because we've all sort of done it. We've all got red raw hands and sore hands.
Yeah, I just washed mine just now.
Exactly. Well, I hope you did.
I'm glad, because
I did.
You did come straight in here, and I kept my hands by my side just to see what happened, and you walked in and you shook my hand very boldly.
I did, that's right, and I've been going around hospitals, as you can imagine, and I think you always shake hands. And you know, people make their own decisions, but washing them is the single most effective thing, rather than sort of barring all forms of.
So you'd wash your hands before you shook mine?
I washed my hands.
Definitely.
My advice to everybody is wash your hands at all times.
So now you launched your battle plan. We cross live to you at Downing Street and on Tuesday to listen, contain, delay, research and mitigate. And Professor Chris Whitty, who is England's Chief Medical Officer, has said now that we are mainly in the delay phase. So we've moved from contain into delay.
Let me explain exactly. Let me explain what's happening today. So, as people know, the numbers continue to grow. I mean, not exponentially, but they're continuing to grow. So the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, or SAGE, is meeting, and they will consider a range of options that we have to try to delay the spread. And, you know, they range from things like, you know, stopping big public gatherings, sporting gatherings and so on, closing schools, that sort of thing, quite draconian stuff, to more targeted interventions which would be really helping the elderly.
Italy's done that. So how close are we to doing that?
So, well, we'll see what the scientists advise. That's the best thing I find. That, you know, these guys are brilliant. And they're epidemiologists who understand behavioural psychology of the population. They understand how these things spread. So we're going to see what they say. But just for your guidance and for everybody to think about, at the moment, what they're telling me is that actually, slightly counterintuitively, things like closing schools and stopping big gatherings don't work as well, perhaps, as people think in stopping the spread. That's what they're saying to me at the moment. So our advice on school closures remains pretty much where it was, I mean, exactly where it was, which is that we don't think at the moment that schools should be closing, but unless, of course, there is an incidence unless there are cases in the school, in which case they should obviously talk to Public Health England.
Is the delay essentially trying to spread this out so that it doesn't all happen at once and overwhelm the NHS, and that you can actually delay it into perhaps the summer when it's a little quieter and the ordinary flu might have died down a wee bit? Is that what you're doing?
It's a very, very important question, and that's where a lot of the debate has been. And one of the theories is that, you know, perhaps you could sort of take it on the chin, take it all in one go, and allow the disease, as it were, to move through the population. Without really taking as many draconian measures, I think we need to strike a balance. I think it's very important. We've got a fantastic NHS. We'll give them all the support that they need. We'll make sure that they have all the preparations, all the kit that they need for us to get through it. But I think it would be better if we take all the measures that we can now, just to stop the peak of the disease being as difficult for the NHS as it might be. I think there are things that we may be able to do. You
say that the NHS has your full support, but according to a report from the National Audit Office, the NHS currently does not have the nursing staff it needs, despite efforts to boost the workforce. There are still 43,000 vacancies. How are they going to find beds and staff to cope with what we potentially could see an increase of patients? Well,
I mean, I don't want to get into it. We, of course, have greatly increased the number of nurses in the NHS, and many more than there were in 2010, for instance. But you're right, and that's why we're recruiting 50,000 more.
That's still not fast enough.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you for it. I mean, you're right, and but we're going as fast as we possibly can. Remember, we shortened the visa application process. We've restored the bursary for nurses, so that the real incentives now to get into nursing. And in the course of the next few weeks, we will really do everything to make sure that the NHS is able to cope.
Bringing back, and because there was talk of people who were in retirement, to bring them back, and we looked at that and thought, hold on a second, if you start bringing back people into the front line of medical health, they're actually the most vulnerable. They're the older people because they're retired.
Well, that's obviously something we'd have to consider, and you're absolutely right that, in principle, over 65s are more vulnerable to.
So how was that ever going to work?
Well, I mean, couple of points. I'm not sure how many over 65s we're actually going to be recruiting. But secondly, don't forget that even if you get this illness, for the overwhelming majority of people, even in the elderly groups, it will be mild to moderate. But the crucial thing is that we'll be getting the NHS ready, but also, really just trying to help people to prepare themselves, prepare their families to do everything to take pressure off the NHS.
Have you prepared your dad?
I'm sure he's prepared. He's generally in a state of readiness for anything.
And I don't say that lightly, because you represent, many of us who have older parents.
Yeah.
And so, sort of.
Well, we're all worried. I mean, I'm thinking about absolutely both my parents. We all have to think about. But what the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies will be thinking about today is particularly about what we can do to help those elderly and vulnerable groups. It's not just the elderly, there are also people with pre-existing conditions or other vulnerabilities that we have to consider.
People are stockpiling. They are going into the shops, they're buying extra loo roll, they're finding it very difficult to get hand sanitizer now. And I watched the item on the news last night saying that hand sanitizer companies have upped their game massively, pumping in what they would normally do in a week and a day. But what do you say to people who are stockpiling? Can you guarantee that in the absolute crux of this, you can feed us? Yes,
and I'm sure. I mean, I've just been talking to the Chancellor and the Governor of the bank. I mean, there's no doubt that the UK economy is very robust. We will make sure that we give businesses and the economy the support that it needs. And if businesses run into trouble because a supplier is out of business or they're facing difficulties of any kind in cash flow or whatever, then we have a system called Time to Pay that will help businesses get through this. And watch out for the budget next week. We'll be doing some things to help business and to help the economy generally.
Other topics. I mean, people thought you put yourself into self-isolation because there are many people watching this show now who are out of their houses. Their houses are completely flooded, and you weren't anywhere to be seen. Well, where were you?
I'm obviously working round the clock on all types of things, as indeed is the government. And on the flooding, what we've been doing is making sure that homeowners get the support that they need, so up to £5,000 to help them.
Can you see why they felt neglected?
Why didn't you go?
I can, we have a wonderful system called cabinet government, and we're working round the clock to.
Do you look back at something like that and think, I should have gone?
Protect those victims, and also.
But do you look back and think?
I'm very proud of the work that the emergency services do. Of the work.
But do you wish you'd gone? Well, do you think you should have gone?
I think it's very important, actually, when a flood is going on. Well, let me give you a direct answer. They said to us, and what happens when you go to a flood is you arrive, and everybody has to down tools because there's the Gold Command, the ambulance, the fire. Everybody, the environment agents, they all meet for an hour or more to brief you when they could be getting on with the emergency. What we will be doing is making sure that communities get the support that they need.
So you were advised not to go because
they said to us, all you'll do is distract us and disrupt the business of helping people with their immediate crisis. So what I was doing was directing operations, making sure that people get the Bellwin scheme money, that they get the £5,000 to which they're entitled, that they get the business rate support, that they get all the cash they need, plus that we get the flood defences we're going to need in the future. We're putting £4 billion into more flood defences, and I want to see that money well spent, and I want to see fewer homes in the future.
A good green policy, so that hopefully the flooding, sort of is lessened in the future. Anyway.
I wanted to talk to you yesterday. You defended Home Secretary Priti Patel over her bullying claims. I wanted to know how much sort of underlying sexism is at play here, because sort of a woman boss is seen as a bully if she's slightly challenging, whilst a sort of male boss is seen as robust.
Look, I don't know whether sexism comes into it, but all I can say is that Priti does a fantastic job, and she is she's a Home Secretary who is advancing a difficult agenda at a time when the public want to see results. We want to be driving down crime on our streets. She's absolutely passionate about her job, but she's having to introduce a very difficult new immigration system.
Is that all? And I appreciate that. She is very loyal to you. Having said that, how much do you have to hear before you say, listen, we have to address this, because it's coming from all areas?
But it goes without saying that I don't like bullying at all. I don't like it, so we've got to investigate it. And there is a proper Cabinet Office investigation, and Sir Alex Allen will get to the bottom of it. But my instinct is very much to stick with Prit, as they say. Back Priti. I think that she's doing she's doing an outstanding job and facing a lot of headwinds.
And so, as far as you're concerned, have you spoken to her? Have you said, how robust are you in the way you treat people, in the way you address people? And do you think, Priti, you should perhaps back off a little bit?
Well, I've made it clear to all my friends in cabinet I don't like bullying, but I think Priti is doing as I say, an outstanding job, and I'm sticking with her.
We can't let you go without saying congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Obviously, I mean, with everything else going on in your life, and you've got all of this, are you excited about becoming a father again?
Very excited.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Is that it? How good are you at changing nappies? You've had a bit of experience.
I'm not going.
You're not going to go there?
I'm not going to. But
Will you change nappies?
Give it a go. Give it a go. It's part of the whole experience, isn't it?
I expect so. I expect so.
Okay. And how have the rest of the family taken the news?
Well, anyway,
Were they pleased?
Did
they say congratulations?
It's very exciting news.
It's lovely news. You should be happy.
You really,
it's really
and
nice.
It's interesting because I think that is a point with you that that many people they've got their own families, they've got their own lives, and there you are, all family life now is going on in Downing Street, but you won't talk about it.
Yeah, very sensibly.
Nothing.
No, look. I mean, I tell you what. I've spent an awfully long time deliberately not going on about it for the very good reason that there are people I love that I don't want to put in public debate, and that's the reason.
Doesn't stop you answering whether or not you're going to change a few nappies, though.
Well, I know. I thought that was. Well, I thought. Well, that was a very tricky one, though. I mean, that was really coming in on middle stump. If I didn't, there was nowhere to go on that one. If I'd said no, that would be.
You did just say yes.
I did say yes.
Yes.
In a vague sort of way.
One, I think.
Thank you very much indeed for coming in today.
Yes.
We'll show this one more time here because this is what we're all relying on currently.
Wash your
this
hands,
is what can be done.
20 seconds, hot water.
And then perhaps with Sage this afternoon, because none of us really know yet whether we can find out whether they believe we can recatch it.
Yes, I think the most important message at this stage, as we start to see the spread, is number one, wash your hands. But number two is, as far as possible, it should be business as usual for the overwhelming majority of people in this country, for the simple reason this is a great country, a massively strong economy. The British public, I think, understands completely the balance of risk involved. I think people the scientists have done a very good job of explaining to us what the risks are, and they're really quite small. They're appreciable, but quite small. And people can see that this country is going to get through this in good shape.
Thanks, Boris.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.